When you hear about this injury Rocky sustained, try not to throw up. Seriously, I've never heard of something so grotesque happening in a boxing ring. And the man stood through it. I mean, he marched forward and he actually won the fight. That is a mindset we need to learn from. You know the name, you know the legend. Let's take a look inside the mind. Today I'll be breaking down a piece of Rocky Marciano's in-ring psychology to offer up a life philosophy. Rocky Marciano's grit and his toughness gave him the ability to overcome so much pain, so much devastation in the midst of crisis. And he did this over and over again to the point where he got that 49-0 record with 43 knockouts. His ability to handle pain, that's a skill that is useful inside the ring as well as out. Combat sports are a unique and visceral microcosm of life. That's why those who understand and who love boxing and mixed martial arts see these sports as more than some savage display made to entertain. It's more than the cheap thrill of a fight. Combat sports are a violent gateway into our humanity. When these fighters step in front of one another, they are showing us how to live and how to overcome one of life's most harrowing inevitabilities: pain. Can we not waste any time talking about what pain is? I mean, you know what that is. Emotional pain, physical pain, you've experienced it. You're smarter than that, and I respect you too much. So let's not talk about it. The problem isn't knowing what pain is, right? The problem is that we don't have the same mindset around pain that Rocky Marciano did. And that's why we're not legendary status like he is. Perhaps that's why we have absolutely no status. Boxing kills the possibility for man's natural tendency to avoid pain and seek pleasure. Boxing puts you in the fire. There's nowhere to run. It has a way of making a man confront truth. If it's cool, I'm going to tell you a story about Rocky Marciano and a hard, painful truth he had to face early on in his career. And this story really resonated with me, and it bridged the gap between me and one of the greatest boxers in history. This story made me remember that he's just a guy, right? He's just a man like anybody that you look up to. They're just a human. Their humanness is no different than your humanness, and they deal with the same type of things you and I do. Ask yourself this as we get into this story. What do you think Rocky's trainer did when he first saw him moving around the ring? Did he pop the champagne because he knew he just hit the lottery? Did he high-five everyone around him and shower Marciano in praise? Try laugh in the guy's face. That's the real answer. Yes, that is right. Rocky Marciano's trainer, Charlie Goldman, said that Rocky did nothing right. Not one thing right when he first saw him. Not stand, not move, not punch. He did nothing right. He did nothing like a fighter with any skill. So much so that the guy had to laugh out loud in Rocky Marciano's face. Put yourself in Rocky's shoes here, right? Imagine this is you. You're trying to learn a skill from somebody, and you find your way to this trainer, this master that you think can mold you into who you need to be, into the champion you see yourself as. And the guy laughs at you. He laughs in your face. How do you feel now? When pain strikes our ego like this, so many of us turn to pity and we turn away from our inner power. We feel like idiots who can't do anything right, so we don't even stay in our fights. We avoid the pain. We run from the discomfort and the embarrassment that is necessary and that takes place in the growth process. And in doing so, we leave all of our potential on the table. This boxing thing didn't come easy for Marciano. He was no natural, and he certainly was not ordained by God to be the heavyweight king. The man was 5'10" and 188 pounds. Also, he had a terrible reach, really tiny arms. I think a lot of us can relate to this, right? We don't feel like the chosen ones. We didn't win any genetic lottery. But this is where the philosophy of pain and power comes into play. Sure, you may not have the same type of privilege somebody else has. You may be running up a steeper hill. What's up? You may be running up a steeper hill. We all have some adversity that's trying to keep us down. But you have a choice to make on how you process, how you understand, and how you deal with that adversity. You decide what you're going to do with that pain. You can step up, face it, give your all in these types of situations, and this will cultivate the type of grit, the type of toughness, and the type of power necessary to become somebody who's worth remembering. Or you can throw in the towel. You can walk away from your fight, and you can always point to that pain as the reason you couldn't make it. Now let's look at this philosophy in action. Let's talk about that truly shocking injury. In 1954, The Rock was facing off against Ezzard Charles. A ruthless punch by Charles severely severed the cartilage and skin of Rocky's nose. The carnage was so bad, Marciano's nose was nearly split in half. We're talking insane destruction. In the locker room, Rocky Marciano said he could basically peel his nose up off his face. But the man didn't give up. He didn't give in, right? I told you he won that fight. He actually won with 24 seconds left in that fight. He refused to believe that he couldn't win at all times, even with this injury. And I really want you to think about that pain and that fear that would be screaming inside of Rocky at this moment, while his pulverized nose is taking punishment from a heavyweight boxer, championship caliber, absolutely pummeling this nose that's already dangling, just pummeling it over and over for 15 rounds. It is insane the amount of grit, determination, and toughness Rocky Marciano possessed. There's a lesson in his toughness. The man understood that pain can become your power when you don't run from it, when you stand and you fight through it. You are stronger than you realize, and if you stay in that fight, if you stay in whatever fight you are dealing with right now, and you deal with the pain, you keep moving forward, there is no telling where you might end up.
You think on that, boy?
If you liked this, I have the absolute perfect follow-up for you. Go check out this video I did on Tommy Morrison. I took a look at the psychology of his downfall, as well as I give a lesson to all young men about external validation. So if you enjoyed this, go watch that now. I'll see you there. Take care.